You just said something brilliant. I mean, if it's Spielberg, well, I think Spielberg's more powerful than probably any U.S. president, right? He's going to have more reach, more millions. Everyone around the world is going to see that movie. Everyone's going to see that movie.
Yeah,
So
and speaking of presidents, I find it very interesting. This has come up on Logan Paul's interview with
I
Donald
heard,
Trump, and there was an interview that came out today. Trump is really saying he's interested in UFOs. We've seen Biden show no interest in this at
right,
all. I'm not talking anything else political other
right,
than
right, right.
Trump seems to be going for the UFO people's votes as if there's something out there, he wants to be the disclosure president, it seems.
Stephen Bassett called me this morning. We talked for an hour, and he said, "Dan, did you hear about Trump on Logan Paul?" And I didn't even know who Logan Paul was. And he said, "Dan, God forbid Trump is going to become the disclosure president." He goes, "Dan, I need to take 25 Xanax and take a nap." He wasn't happy about it. But Trump apparently might. It's not that Biden doesn't know. I think every president knows to a limited degree. Some presidents knew much, much more than others. FDR knew about extraterrestrials. There are memos before World War II, even. FDR knew. Truman absolutely knew because Roswell was during the Truman administration. Truman created the Majestic 12 group. You know this. They evolved into what people think is today's black government. Eisenhower knew. There's leaked documents called the presidential the briefing document for President-elect Eisenhower. So Eisenhower knew. Kennedy, I believe Kennedy knew. Kennedy was very good friends with James Forrestal. James Forrestal was one of the Majestic 12. James Forrestal, of the 12 men of Majestic 12, he was the one who said, "Hey, why don't we do disclosure? Let's tell people that aliens are real. What do we have to lose?" And all these, these generals and these scientists and Truman, no, 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 no. We can't tell anybody. Can't tell anybody. We just dropped bombs on Japan. We don't want the Russians to get this technology. So Forrestal wanted disclosure in 1947. If you look into his story, he was committed to a nut house in 49. He against his will. He was institutionalized in a mental hospital, and he was pushed out a window, and he was assassinated. If you read it, look into it, he was murdered. He was pushed out a window. He wanted to disclose. He was friends with JFK. There are all kinds of rumors that JFK was killed because he wanted to disclose aliens too. Well, that is he. I've been studying JFK for 45 years. The assassination. There's so many theories and who knows what exactly. But one
I
of the
just
best.
read Jesse Ventura's book on it, so I didn't even know like how in depth the theories were and the Umbrella Man and all that,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's quite interesting.
oh yeah. I think I have 100 books. I read. Oh, here. This is going to blow you away. I love this one. I recently heard that Marilyn Monroe's death was part of the whole Kennedy assassination stuff, and here's why. Marilyn Monroe was having an affair with President Kennedy. Everyone knows this. And then he dumped her onto Bobby Kennedy, and she had an affair with him. Everyone knows this, common knowledge. She then Bobby Kennedy dumped her. She called Bobby Kennedy and said, "You guys are treating me like shit. I'm not happy with you. I'm going to do a press conference. I have a little red book. She had a little red diary. And she goes, I have a little red book. I have a lot of things that President Kennedy told me in bed that I'm going to go to the world and I'm going to do a press conference because you guys are pricks to me and I don't like being a piece of meat." There's a lot of evidence and a lot of proof and eyewitnesses, Devin, that Bobby Kennedy and his people killed Marilyn Monroe to shut her up. That's one part of this whole thing. But the other part is one of the things Marilyn Monroe was told by JFK was there's craft and bodies in Roswell, New Mexico, and he wanted to reveal that to the public. There are FBI documents that say that they heard her when they bugged her house, Marilyn Monroe, talking about JFK telling her, pillow talk, that there's aliens. So whoever killed JFK didn't want him to tell the world about aliens. They pushed Forrestal out of a building. They blew off JFK's head. Bobby Kennedy knew about aliens. They killed him. And then I think once maybe through Nixon, probably after Nixon, it tapered off. I know Reagan knew. Reagan knew about aliens. Dick Cheney knew about aliens. George Bush Sr. knew. He was the head of the CIA. When Jimmy Carter became president, this is a story Danny Sheehan says. Jimmy Carter became president. He saw a UFO in 1969. He went to George Bush Sr. At the time, George Bush was the head of the CIA. He said, I want to know about aliens and UFOs. Show me the files. George Bush Sr., the head of the CIA, said to the President of the United States, Mr. President, that's above your pay grade. You're not allowed to know that information. So some presidents, same with the Clintons, same with the Obamas, some people were told little tidbits. Some people were kept at arm's length. I don't think Biden knows. I don't think Biden knows the whole facts.
I
But
know Hillary probably would have disclosed. Biden doesn't seem to care at all about it. The one interesting thing about Trump, before he was president, before I heard him asked about UFOs, he said he didn't believe it. He thought this was people confusing military craft and stuff. When he was president, he was saying he's seen the Roswell files and he finds them very interesting.
right.
Now he's trying to get reelected and he seems to be pushing that. So it seems like for the UFO people, between the two, Biden is not caring at all about this issue. But I'm not getting into anything other than that. But
No. I
Trump
totally
seems interested.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think when we spoke last time, you know, I think we talked about this last year. Everyone remembers there was that Chinese weather balloon that spied on continental United States, and everyone knew it was from China. Man-made balloon. We saw it on TV. We saw it flying from Montana, I think, to South Carolina into the ocean, and they retrieved it. Everyone saw that. We knew it was man-made. 2 weeks later, or a week later, there were 3 UFOs in the same week that the U.S. Air Force shot down. One was over Alaska, one was over Canada, one was over Lake Huron. President Biden went on TV after the third one. And Devin, I watched this live and I'm like, Joe, you can do it, man. This is the time. You just shot down 3 UFOs in a week. Just tell us the truth. Now's the time. You're going to be the disclosure president. I was watching. I'm like, this is it. I know he's going to do it right now. Well, we had the China balloon. And then, these 3 other things, they could have been a hobbyist balloon or some kids playing with a drone. We're really not sure what they were. We'll let you know. But the China balloon, it was deflection like a magician does when he does a trick with one hand, but he's really doing the trick with the other hand. Biden came so close. All he had to do that day was say, we've shot down 3 craft. They may have been extraterrestrial in nature. We're looking at them. We'll let you know. All he had to do was say a couple of words. He would have been the disclosure president. He came so close. And now I
And
think
then
perhaps.
everyone's asking him questions and he just stares at them for like 10 seconds
yeah,
and he
yeah.
walks away.
Yeah, he doesn't want to answer. He just doesn't want. Now, does he know? First of all, if our Air Force is shooting down a craft with a $500,000 missile, there's film footage of that. Of course, there's video or film footage of that in detail. That's never ever been released. You mean to tell me we never found those 3 craft on the ground? Of course we did. They've never been shown. The footage has never been revealed. The pilots of those craft have never been on TV. Biden never explained what they were. And then the press has amnesia. The press, every time, if I was a member of the press and I was at the White House and Joe Biden's talking about Gaza, I'd say, Mr. President, one last question, just real quick. Remember the 3 UFOs you shot down last year? Yeah. What happened? What were those? When can we see those? And he would just go, hum. Why is the media not asking him what they were? They were so high profile. How does the media have amnesia and not ask him what those 3 things were? That pisses me off. I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's one thing that everyone just forgot about, but
How do you
very
forget, really?
interesting.
Right? How do you forget, really? How do you forget 3 UFOs? You don't have three in a decade. If we had we had three that in the same week over the same region of North America. How did CNN or the New York Times, how did they not hound the White House? Where are the pictures? Where's the film? We know you recovered them, Mr. President. Come on. Nobody. Well, oh yeah, I guess they were balloons. Okay, I guess they were balloons. How do you? It's such a bullshit. So anyway,
They
maybe
only
Trump.
showed the fourth. They only showed the one, which was the fourth, and that was the weather balloon. So I
Right.
guess they just assumed, yes, we wasted missile money on 4 weather balloons, and one of them apparently they missed, and it actually took 2 missiles to take down somehow.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. That's very cool. Yeah, they recovered them. There's film footage. The pilots, if they, you may know this. You probably know this. Chuck Schumer and I think his name is Mike Rounds or Mark Rounds. They have a Schumer Rounds legislation. They're trying to push it through Congress a second time. That will protect whistleblowers from to come forward. Danny Sheehan in Washington and my friend Steve Bassett, they've been working on that for years. If that ever were to get passed, whoever the president is, people can come forward and say, I shot down a UFO. I was inside one. I recovered technology. I recovered bodies. This is real. I know where they are. And they won't go to jail. They won't have their pensions taken away. The IRS won't steal their money. They won't, in the days of Roswell, the men in black came to the families of the Roswell people and said to them, if you tell anyone as long as you live, we will kill you and your family and we'll bury you in the desert. You'll never be found. There's all kinds of footage of those survivors saying those words as when they were little kids. They were all going to be killed. So we've come a long way and we're so close, but we're still not quite there. And you know what? Maybe if Trump does if he wins, maybe he would become the disclosure president. But I love what you said. Maybe Steve, I would much rather have it be Steven Spielberg than Donald Trump,
But here's one thing interesting. I just looked this up while we were talking about it. It's called the Chinese weather balloon incident. So now we like literally only are supposed to remember that there was one, and they don't even talk about the other
Yeah,
3 anymore. So
yeah,
there was 4 total, by the way, for anyone that's not familiar with this,
I know.
and the only one identified was this, and they just erased from everyone's memory the other 3.